Hey guys, speaking to you from hotel quarantine. I am on to day 7. Oh, halfway there. And what I've been noticing the last couple of days is something that I want to talk about today. And that's how to overcome negative thoughts. Because over the last 24 hours, my mind has been running bloody circles round me. And it's chucking up some really hurtful, nasty stuff. And this has taken me back to when I had my eating disorder, and constantly, all day, every day, my mind would be going at me, hating me, blaming me, guilt, shame, telling me I'm not good enough, not worthy enough, not deserving enough. And what I've noticed being here, being totally alone, is that there is now space. And I've noticed my mind jumping in with very similar stories to when I had my eating disorder. Not completely the same, but it just highlights that we can't really stop our mind from saying certain things to us. However, there are ways that we can not let them distract from what we've got going on in our day, or take away from the things that we want to do, or lead us down the wrong path. And that's the most important thing I really want to emphasize, is that our minds will continuously spill out stuff, stories, words, thoughts, beliefs, everything at us, this narrative. But we do have a choice in how we respond. It was the same when I had my eating disorder, and it's the same when I'm feeling these and thinking these things now. And there's a couple of really simple exercises that I just want to walk you through that will help you to not actually get hooked in and buy into what your mind is telling you, because you are not your mind, okay? You are not your mind, which means you are not those thoughts. Your mind is continuously chucking these things out, and you have a choice whether you bite into them or not. And this is taken from a type of therapy called ACT, which is called acceptance and commitment therapy. And this is all about not trying to get rid of thoughts, not trying to stop them from happening, not trying to ignore them or distract from them, but it's learning how to be with your thoughts and not let them impact you, and not let them distract from the things that you want to do. So first and foremost, when you hear your mind chucking out those familiar stories, whether they're around food or something else in particular, you have to stop and notice. Because there is a part of you that notices these things. You are not your thoughts, so you are actually the observer of your thoughts. That's who you really are. You are not your mind, you're the observer of your mind. So you have to actually go, oh, okay, what is my mind telling me? What is my mind saying? What are some of the stories that it's constantly chucking out? What is it saying to me right now? And just notice. Before doing anything, have to stop and notice the thoughts. And once you've kind of done that, once you've noticed what your mind is telling you, can you see what I'm saying? Notice what your mind is telling you, not what you're telling yourself, what your mind is telling you. Then you want to start to name those thoughts, because your mind is predictable. It will be saying the same sort of things day in, day out. For me, I name my thoughts as a story. So when these thoughts come in, at the moment, it's the you're not doing enough story, or you're not good enough story. But for you, it might be, oh, here are my worries again. Here's my fears. Here's my panic. Or it could be a story that your mind's telling you. You're not worthy enough, undeserving, not good enough, not doing enough like me, not being productive enough. These are all stories that your mind is telling you. So it's really important to name the thoughts that are going on in your head, because you'll start to see a pattern. When the same sort of thoughts come in, you can go, oh, okay, I know this story, or I know these type of worries, here we go again. And you can actually start to build up knowledge and experience of what your mind is telling you. So once you've noticed and named, then you can actually start to neutralize these thoughts. And as you can see, I'm not saying to get rid of them, but to neutralize their impact. And there are various different ways that you can do this. And all we're looking for is to neutralize their influence. And there's a really simple question that you can ask yourself. Before acting, before going off an autopilot or doing or buying into the thoughts, you have to ask yourself, okay, if I were to buy into this thought, if I were to let this thought guide me, would it take me towards or further away from the person that I want to be. And it's not about whether these thoughts are good or bad. Actually, it's about whether these thoughts are helpful or unhelpful. Because if you get stuck in trying to figure out whether they're good or bad, you can get stuck in this cycle of judgment, judging your thoughts, judging yourself. And that's not helpful for anybody. So I want you to start thinking of these thoughts of whether they're helpful or unhelpful. And if I buy into this thought, if I let this thought hook me, will it take me closer to the person that I want to be? So like I said, there are various different ways you can actually neutralize that impact. If you think that thought is going to take you further away from where you want to be, you want to then aim to neutralize its impact. So first and foremost, you can create an object out of that thought. So if that thought will have a shape, what shape would it be? And if that were shaped to have a color, what color would it be? You want to kind of build some details around that thought to actually bring it to life and make it, you see that it's not actually you. It's just your mind chucking out the same stories time and time again. And you can also describe the thoughts. So of a lot of negative thoughts, oh my God, they feel so heavy, right? They feel heavy, they feel draining, they feel suffocating. Use that information. Use that to bring as much description to that thought as you possibly can. And you can even then play around with the properties of that thought. So imagine singing it in a stupid song, or singing it in something like Happy Birthday, or putting a voice to it. Feeling the speed. Does it have a speed? Is it moving? Is it still? What's the pitch? If that voice could raise the pitch, what effect would that have? If I made my voice really high and squeaky, would that affect how I felt about it? Or if I lowered the pitch, sped it up, slowed it down? Can you see you have the power here to start manipulating these thoughts, but without actually having to get rid of them at all? And then you can even depict the thought. So write it out. Journaling is a great way to get those thoughts, especially if they're heavy and frustrating and weighted, get them out of your head onto a piece of paper. Draw, color, sing, text, anything. You just want to imagine shifting the thought from where it is out to another location, and actually that will help to give you some space between you and the thought. And again, this will show you that you are not your thoughts. You can actually create some distance. And finally, one of my favorite ones is you can actually create some movement around the thought. And I best do this by imagining if you were to close your eyes and you were sitting on a bank and there was a river running in front of you. Gentle river just flowing. And obviously, if you live in the countryside, there are going to be leaves and greenery around you, and some of those leaves are going to fall into the river, right? And what I want you to do, any of those thoughts, I want you to imagine placing each thought out onto a leaf and just letting it flow with your eyes closed along the river. Just flowing by, passing by you. And you may have this urge to want to control the leaf, control the speed, but really try and just observe and watch those leaves come past and out the other side. And it's interesting that, when we are actually watching a river in real life, some of those leaves can sometimes get stuck behind a stick or go a little bit slower or speed up. But if we don't do anything, it will just keep on moving. It will just keep on passing by. And that's what I want you to imagine with your thoughts. We're not trying to change them. We're not trying to get rid of them. We're just watching them come and go. And whatever thoughts are coming up into your mind, pop them onto another leaf and just let them pass them by. And this could be a really, really good exercise if you've got multiple streams of overwhelming thoughts and you've tried those other neutralizing exercises and they haven't worked. Give this one a chance. Just sit, observe, put whatever's in your mind, get it out of your mind and onto the river and just let it flow. Just let it flow by so that those thoughts actually lose their power. Now, these seem really, really simple, but they do actually need some practice. And like I said, this is not about getting rid of the thoughts, because I'm evident that even when I had my eating disorder, I had eating disorder thoughts. But now I'm still recovered, but I still get those self-doubt thoughts. I still get negative thoughts, critical thoughts, harmful thoughts, hurtful thoughts. That same story telling me I'm not good enough. But I have a choice whether I buy into it or I do not let that impact what I do in my day-to-day life. And these are just some exercises to help you do that. So have a little go, have a practice, comment and let me know what you think, or if you've got any other techniques that you found really helpful to help manage any negative thoughts.